Hello and welcome to the debate. I'm your host Maqbool with you at PTV World. In today's show, we will be taking a look at some important stories that are, of course, developing in the country. The first is with reference to the political situation, and as, of course, the timeline of the elections apparently are coming to a close. It seems that there is now a big decision that need to be made with reference to how the coalition setup is going to move forward. And so the top leaders from both the sides, including Mr. Nawaz Sharif and Asif Ali Zardari, have met and they have spoken about a number of issues, which include the schedule of the next general elections, the formation of a caretaker setup, and of course, moving forward, what are going to be the dynamics in terms of who will be nominated for the big seat. And this is important, especially in terms of where the country is heading and the kind of political and economic crisis we've seen currently. And then, of course, the fact that the PDM was an alliance that was united against one individual, one particular party head. And once that is out of the equation, what will be the future scenario and whether or not the contest of elections will see the alliance also moving forward, or they will be contesting it separately. And so these are important decisions that need to be made, and it seems that the second tier of the leadership is also going to be part of the eventual discussions with Mr. Asif Ali Zardari's son and Mr. Nawaz Sharif's daughter, also present in Dubai, and then the Prime Minister of Pakistan is also expected to join soon. And so this is going to be an important discussion on the way forward, and we're going to be hearing, of course, regarding these important matters and top appointments in national institutions, among other things. But of course, what remains to be seen is where exactly is this going to go and how soon are we going to be seeing a decision moving forward. It seems that the meeting between the top leaders have come so that this can actually be fast-tracked. But since there isn't a lot of time left, how the parties are going to move ahead will be an important development that we'll be looking at. At the same time, we also know that at the moment, the PDM chief was not part of the discussions. Whether or not he will be in any of the future dialogue is also an important decision as to the future of the PDM regarding elections. And then, of course, seat adjustments within Punjab is also a big item that may also be part of the discussion, which is, of course, something that remains to be seen exactly how this dynamic is going to be set. There is also the future of the current PTI chairman and with regards to the party space in the next elections, as well as the space that is going to be there for the new party that has sprung up under the leadership of Jahangir Tareen. And so we're going to be taking a look at all of these dynamics amid what is going on, of course, in the country, and whether or not the alliance that we have seen so far will be working through with the next elections as well. In our second segment of the show today, we're going to be taking a look at a very important discussion regarding the trial of civilians for the incidents of May 9th in the military court, something that we have earlier heard from the DGISPR that is continuing, and that about 102 civilians are actually being tried in military courts. A statement that has been contradicted by that of the AGP, in which he has spoken about how this is going to be something that hasn't started yet, and that there isn't any sort of a trial of any civilian that is actually underway at the moment. And the Chief Justice of Pakistan has also commented on the situation, claiming that he hopes that until the matter is in the apex court, that actually is not proceeded forward with. But of course, there's a lot of other discussions within this as well that are important in terms of the petitions that have been filed against this and the formation of a full court bench to look into this particular case. And of course, what remains to be seen for now, it seems that the case has been delayed for an indefinite period. And what we're going to be looking at moving forward is going to be an important development in this regard as well. For this and more, as always, in the studios, I've been joined by senior analyst Farrukh Pitafi. We've also been joined in the studios by political analyst Mr. Naveed Aman, and we've been joined online by Mr. Zulfikar Ali Bader, leader PPP. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for being a part of the discussion. And Zulfikar Sahab, let me start with you for some insight into what is going on in terms of the discussion that have been held with the top tier of both the PPP and the PMLN. So far, we know that the meeting has been conducted with Asif Ali Zardari and Nawaz Sharif. But what sort of agenda items are there, and what do you think will the process eventually look like with other members of the parties also joining in?
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you very much, Sana, for inviting me to your show. Your particular question regarding the meeting between the leaders of PPP and PML, I think this is a very substantial and important meeting, and this has taken place at a time when there are a number of challenging situation is going on. There are a number of challenges uh, in the country, and things are in a chaos, and both the leaders are looking. I am pretty sure they have discussed a lot of things between their meetings, but details have not been shared with us, because whatever the agenda was, that has not been shared. But I know for myself, and what I can tell you with my knowledge, when the political leaders meet, they discuss on the political agenda, they discuss about the politics of the country, the political instability, and the economic instability, and the challenges, the governance, the diplomacy, and number of other issues which are going on in the country. They must have discussed about the current ongoing situation in the country, and about the because this government is completing its tenure, and they must be they must have discussed about after the completion of the term, who is going to be the next prime minister, the caretaker prime minister, and when the elections are going to held,
Hmm.
and what is going to be the agenda, what is going to be the agenda of both the parties for upcoming elections, how they can have harmony, even contesting election with, I mean, in front of each other. So they must have discussed number of things, but the details have not been shared. So, when these political leaders meet, they often discuss the number of those issues as well. Of course, their political ideology and their political manifesto remains at their own party's agenda, but they look for a common ground, as they have done in the past when Shaheed Bibi Benazir Bhutto Sahaba and Mian Nawaz Sharif Saab signed the Charter of Democracy back in 2006 in London. So I think this is a high time when these leaders and Asif Ali Zardari Saab have shown his concern about signing the Charter of Economy, and he must be talking and bringing on board all the political stakeholders, all the political leaders, that we must sign the Charter of Economy. And this must have been discussed in their meeting as well.
Okay.
Uh, so
All right,
as
and Zulfikar
so
Sahab,
far,
I'll come back to
yeah.
you with certain stances or preferences that you might know that the PPP is going to be taking forward in this conversation. But Naveed Sahab, these are big questions that have been pointed out by Zulfikar Sahab, and of course we don't know what the agenda is yet, but it seems that this is going to be something that will be part of the discussion according to reports and according to what seems to be the case, especially with regards to who is going to be taking the big seat. Are they going to move forward in the next general elections separately or as PDM, and of course moving forward, what is going to be the schedule of the general elections or the formation of a caretaker setup. These are not easy decisions by any of the party members. What do you expect in terms of how these negotiations will actually move forward? Is there a possibility of any sort of friction among the parties? Is there a possibility of delay in the elections? Since of course these matters are going to take their time. However, we see that there seems to be a push in terms of moving forward. Will this be something that you see happening soon?
Thank you very much, Sana. In fact, there will not be any friction in the discussions between the two parties. Both the parties and the leaders, they are finding the way out of the current situation. The one very important thing
But
is...
how are you so sure there's going to be no friction?
Definitely, because the mess which was created during the last 4 or 5 years is now is being summed up.
Okay.
And one very important thing is this: during Imran Khan's time, or even after he was removed from his seat, PDM was reluctant to go in the elections. But now PDM is confident to go in the elections and contest elections. That was not because the popularity of Imran Khan. That was because they knew that the institutions are still behind him, and they wanted to have an impartial way of going in the elections. That is why they were waiting for the good time. But unfortunately, that good time came because after a very bad incident of May 9, The May 9 incident, in fact, gave very good chance to PDM, especially the PMLN, to come back in the arena. Now, when the things are going very speedily against PTI or PTI Supremo, the chairman of the party, Nawaz Sharif has decided to move in the political scene of Pakistan. That is why he moved from London to UAE to meet People's Party leader Asif Zardari and Bilawal Bhutto Zardari there in UAE. I think this is a very good move by both of the parties, and what they might have discussed there. Number one is the political situation of Pakistan. Number two is the economic situation of Pakistan. The Charter of Economy, yes, it is the need of the time, but I believe if we, all the Pakistanis and the politicians, they follow the Constitution of Pakistan, they don't need any charter except the Constitution of Pakistan. Because Constitution of Pakistan, by following Constitution of Pakistan, we can never be derailed, either politically or economically. But even then, if we are going for the charter of economy, it is a good move, and we need a very, very solid and long-term charter of economy to be followed. And as far as the political scene is concerned, I think Nawaz Sharif is now coming to Pakistan.
Okay. When?
In August. When the term is being concluded, I think that will be the right time to come. If he doesn't come, if he doesn't come, it will be too late for the party and he will not be helping his party when the elections are just a couple of months away from August. So I don't think if he is not coming, he'll not be helping his party anymore, and the things will be very difficult for PMLN to then gather successes as they want to.
All right, and we'll talk more about that. Farrukh, there's also, of course, the son of Mr. Asif Ali Zardari and the daughter of Mr. Nawaz Sharif also present, and they are expecting negotiations to also continue among the different leaders. But I want to understand in terms of how both the parties look at the future of their political parties, and then of course with the way that certain positions are going to be carried forward by the son or the daughter, how much do you think is going to be dependent on how both these future leaders perhaps are going to take a look at where the party should be going, and what sort of substance or value do you think they're adding in the decision-making process at the moment? Is this happening at the level of Mr. Nawaz Sharif and Mr. Zardari, or is this something that we can expect from the future generation?
Fascinating question, Sana. Thank you very much for asking this question, right? Because I think that they are, of course, sons and daughters of big leaders, but they have become leaders in themselves. Just to remind you, the son of Asif Ali Zardari is the foreign minister of this country. And, you know, the daughter of Mian Nawaz Sharif is now senior vice president of the party, the PMLN. So they have come to into their own being, and I think that they are, you know, contributing a lot. But I wanted to actually, apart from this contribution, because it is a question that I very easily can actually give you small input and move on. Yeah. But I wanted to actually go back to the questions that were asked earlier. One, the friction. I think that before this meeting, this huddle, there were many sticking points that actually stood out, and everybody kept on actually, you know, speculating about that. One was the you know, leader who's going to be head of PCB. Who's going to head PCB? Is it going to be Najm Sethi or Zaka Ashraf, right? That was something that they kept on debating. And after that, we saw Zaka Ashraf became member, and then somebody went to actually Quetta High Court, and there they have actually sought a stay, and they got that. So that is one thing. Then we saw also that Nadra's chief also somehow became an issue of debate. After that also the question of when to actually you know, do away with the current setup is also important. We understand that if the current assemblies are going to complete their term, the elections are going to take place in 60 days. But even one day before that, if they are dissolved, then the elections might take place in 90 days as per the law. So
Okay.
that is also an interesting aspect of the whole game. And then, of course, who's going to be the next caretaker PM, who's going to be, if there are going to be any changes in the provincial setup, right? There are two assemblies which have not been dissolved, and there are two assemblies which are dissolved, but there have been caretaker CMs who can change if the whole PDM plus People's Party actually group decides what to do with them. That can also happen. So these are interesting questions, and then the question of how to actually go about elections, particularly in Punjab. There are more than two contenders now in Punjab. We know what became of PTI, but PTI still is there, and there are many people who haven't quit the party. Then we saw the emergence of IPP, and we kept on hearing about Istikame Pakistan Party and PMLN's potential alliance in the next election. There were pundits who actually claimed that Jangid Tareen is going to be the next PM after elections, and Mariam Nawaz might be the CM in Punjab. And that, of course, puts People's Party in an awkward situation. Then similar kind of assertions about People's Party's inroads in Punjab, and that actually puts PMLN in an awkward position, because People's Party and PMLQ are, really aligned. They're joined at the hip, so they will be somehow working together. So with all that kind of things and the schedule of elections, and of course then in the backdrop there are many things that are continuing. The follow-up of May 9th, whatever happened after that, we still are feeling tremors. There is a case, as you're going to discuss in the next segment, on the military courts or military trials. And similarly, the question of what becomes of the leader of PTI, that is also there. And then in that circumstance, that kind of circumstances, when should the elections be held? There are many things that are going to be discussed and that are being discussed. We still don't know the extent of it, but I think that we are going to know it soon enough. And these issues are going to define the trajectory of how politics moves forward in coming days.
Right, and Farrukh, can you also, I'll come to Naveed Saab, can you also help me understand why the top positions of NADRA and PCB were so important to be part of the first meeting?
I can talk about PCB because, the people that are there are important, and they are clearly aligned with one party or the other. Zakat Sharaf has been through and through a candidate of People's Party for the PCB's job. And it is a lucrative and impressive, influential job. Every Pakistani watches cricket whenever it actually takes place. So that is an important post. And then, Najam Sethi is going to be actually, is aligned with PMLN. So that also becomes an issue of debating, right? I would rather not talk about Nadra's situation, because there are so many bad stories that came out in the past 1 year that I don't want to dwell on that. But at that time, let us say that the former chairman Nadra had People's Party hardly had any problem with him. But PMLN, of course, did. And of course, PMLN is stewarding the entire electoral process, the political process right now. So they have the burden of circumstances on their shoulders as well. Last but not least, Sana, the most important thing I think at this moment is the candidate for the caretaker prime minister. You keep on hearing names, and some of them are astounding. And the problem is that I'm sure of it, that both parties are not agreeing on any name so far.
Right, and that's what I wanted to understand, because there seems to be bigger questions that need to be addressed than the post of PCB or Nadra, right?
Yeah, but they are also relevant, because the people who are actually vying for those posts are very influential.
Okay. Yes, Naveed Saab, you wanted to add something?
One more thing which Farrukh was mentioning is about the most probable awkward situations in Pakistani next politics. If Nawaz Sharif becomes Prime Minister of Pakistan for the 4th time, what PMLN will give to the People's Party in the government, especially in Punjab? If Nawaz Sharif becomes the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I don't think Punjab will be given to PMLN, Punjab will go to People's Party with very minimum seats.
Given, Naveed sir? How given? Who
I
gives
mean,
that?
because of the adjustment or because
Seat
of the
adjustment.
yes,
Okay. That means that electoral process.
yes, definitely
Right.
electoral
I thought
process.
that-
Not that much,
Seventh
you know,
is there to give.
not that much which we have been experiencing.
And ask for
Not
some-
that much which we have been experiencing in 2018 and you know, like not that much.
Right.
But if People's Party takes Punjab once in any capacity, I mean, as Chief Minister, I don't think, again, after taking People's Punjab as Chief Minister, they will not be in the position to grab Punjab after ruling 5 years in Punjab. Because the roots of People's Party in Punjab are not that much deep as the roots of PMLN are there.
It hasn't formed a government there since 1970, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is what you're talking about.
Right.
Yes.
Let me also take Zulfikar Saab's input on this, and the stance that the PPP has on the matter. Of course, this seems to be something that is going to be part of the agenda, but it also seems that, of course, the PPP will also be vying for the top seat, and the foreign minister may perhaps be the candidate from the PPP for this. And it's important for us to understand moving forward what sort of stance will the PPP be taking on this matter, and also add to that, Zulfikar Saab, the possibility of any delay in the elections. How firm is the PPP on the fact that the elections must be scheduled within this year?
The Pakistan People's Party leadership is very clear about it, and Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari has a number of times mentioned that we want election at exact time after the completion of this government, not delaying of election, not before that time. So Pakistan People's Party has a very clear stance that election should be held on time. It can vary with a little much, you know, with few days, but we want election on time. So PPP stance is very clear, and about rest of the things, because you know, all the parties, even all the allies of PDM government, they are going to go in the elections and they are going to contest on their own symbol, and they have their own manifesto and ideology. So once they are going to uh, contest the elections, they are going to contest against each other, they are going to come back, whosoever wins number of seats. Once they come back, I think they are going to sit down, because the current experiment of the coalition government is a successful model, because this was the brainchild of Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. And I think all the political parties are now, except for one or two, all the parties are ready to sit down and take out their egos and put them on a side, and they can sit down and talk on the national agenda to solve the problems of the country, and because Pakistan is facing number of challenges. So once that they contest the elections, they win their seat, whatever number they come up. So they will sit down and come up with, I think, again with the coalition government, and with this alliance, with the new alliance, and things can be sorted out, because nobody knows who is going to win how much seats. But I am sure about one thing, that Pakistan People's Party has gained a lot in Punjab and
It
KPK
has.
from the last election, and People's Party is going to have a better position from the last elections. Because one thing is clear, because what the last government, the kind of support they had from the people who matter, they are not going to get that kind of a support. So I think they are going to they will have to face difficult times in the elections, and People's Party position is going to be strengthened and is going to be better than the last time. So all the parties, once they contest against each other, they are going to come and sit down and they will talk things out. And currently the talks
Right.
which are going
Right, and you say that, Zulfikar
in
Saab, and I want to
Dubai,
understand, do you mean that then the elections will be contested separately by the parties?
Of course.
I'm sure that I'm very certain about it, that all the political parties are going to contest election on their own symbols. There, you know, in politics, you can't rule out anything. There may be a possibility for few seats that there can be a understanding that People's Party is not going to contest election, or they are not going to put candidates against some of the top leaders of PMLN. And it's a likewise thing that they are not going to, put candidate against the leaders of PPP in uh, around Pakistan, across Pakistan. So this can be understanding, but I am not saying, I'm not certain that this is going to happen. So, but
Okay.
in politics, you can't rule out anything. So things are going to uh, go to the ground, and people will have to work hard, especially all the political leaders and political parties. They will have to dig out the people from the ground,
Right.
and they will have to bring the people on board to vote them. So this is going to be an interesting election, because this time, one, uh, all the political parties will be contesting on their own. Nobody's going to have that kind of support. The one which looks like that they are having the support of some important sectors, or the people who matter, I think they are also going to, they will have to prove that they have a vote bank in the ground as well. So
Right, and
it's
that's
going
great
to be
news,
an
of course.
interesting election, and
Right. Absolutely. And Naveed Saab, so far we've seen this discussion move ahead between the PMLN and the PPP. And of course, the JUIF has an important role within the PDM as well. And it seems that the chief might be added to the conversation later on. But what possibly do you think will be his input within this entire stance? And why hasn't it been taken on board as of now?
I think he should have been taken before the meeting. I don't think that it's a good decision to keep him away from the premier meeting.
Is he actively being taken out of the conversation? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he is taken out, but he should not have been taken out, because he is the president of PDM and a very important partner, political partner of the PDM, the PML and the People's Party. So he should have been taken in confidence when the meeting was announced in Dubai. But now, if he is invited right now, even it will be a very good move, and he should be included in the political discussion, or the framework which is being discussed between the two. It should have been discussed between the three or four. So the things are moving in the right direction. I think after a long time, the meeting of Nawaz Sharif and Mr. Asif Zardari in Dubai is very, very significant and important for the future of Pakistan as far as the forthcoming elections are concerned. Because Nawaz Sharif is now going to coming back to Pakistan. They are expecting, the PMLN is expecting that Nawaz Sharif's reception should be included by the People's Party also, and it should be warmly welcomed in Pakistan. Some expect that the millions, or not, if not the millions, the hundreds of the thousands should welcome him, Nawaz Sharif.
Which you mean to say including PPP supporters?
Definitely they are expecting, and they are talking on this term that the PPP supporters should also come out and welcome Nawaz Sharif to Pakistan after 3 years. So Nawaz Sharif will be creating some difference in the politics of Pakistan in the next elections.
Okay, and Farrukh, I want to talk more about that. What sort of role exactly will there be legally and politically by Mr. Nawaz Sharif within the next general elections? Is his comeback going to be symbolic, or is going to be part of some sort of political triumph moving forward, and will give some impetus to the party, or will he himself also be able to play a political role within the next elections?
Right, Sana, first of all, I want to answer your question, and it is a very important question. But before that, I wanted to just reflect on what Naveed Saab was saying, that perhaps Maulana Fazlur Ahmad, his omission was deliberate. I don't think that is the case. I think that it was a spontaneous kind of, meeting. Mia Nawaz Sharif's coming to Dubai or UAE in itself actually constitutes a movement, right? He hasn't actually left Europe for quite some time. So his coming here was indicative of the fact that he is going to come back to Pakistan eventually, and he's planning to do that. So I think that Asif Ali Zardari is a man of means. he immediately rushed to that place and met, and then it became a meeting, right? And of course, when two big ones meet, of course, they add momentum to the whole conversation. But having said that, now I don't think that Maulana
Is Maulana not a one big one?
No, I don't think that he has that kind of means of international travel. You know, these guys actually can travel on their own jets if they want to. But, you know, Maulana is not being snubbed. I don't think so. Of course, one party or the other might have some reservations, but I don't think it is clearly a snub. Now, let us talk about Mian Nawaz Sharif's role. Remember those days when we thought that PTI is going to carry Punjab, and I kept on saying that if PMLN stands a chance, Mian Nawaz Sharif should come back to the country and he should lead his party, because his name is brand name and it is part of the party's own title. It is PMLN Nawaz, right? It is not PML, you know, Shahbaz or Mariam or whatever, right? That is a clear distinction. So if he comes back, it is going to have an impact. But the problem is that he is facing multiple cases, and he actually practically walked out of a prison, right? It might be political persecution, but still a prison is a prison. So he's going to face charges as well, and then this issue of disqualification is not clarified even yet. So all these matters are too many balls in the air. So we don't know what kind of role he's going to play, and this is what actually adds to the confusion of this situation. PMLN, it was repeatedly thought, has two strains, right? One house of Shahbaz and one house of Nawaz, and of course their children, and they are playing very important roles in the party now. So that kind of formula of succession hasn't been clarified even yet. The Shahbaz flank actually is represented by Prime Minister, but the Finance Minister is also there, and that actually adds to a third party angle to the situation. So with that kind of dynamics, I think that in the coming days, what is going to happen is, because of the creation of IPP, it was thought that it is going to actually undercut PTI. It is going to undercut PTI, but it is going to also undercut some of the votes of PMLN. So when that happens, who is going to actually benefit from that? Two parties clearly, in Punjab particularly, People's Party, if you want to understand the genius of Asif Ali Zardari, look at how many people were there who were volunteering to join his party, which one he accepted, which one he did not, right? That actually shows you an electoral map and a strategy. So whosoever is actually doing it is actually, it is helping them. I think that PMLN has a great chance of having serious inroads, not only in South Punjab, where he already carries a lot of, the party carries a lot of sway, but in the upper or central Punjab as well. If that kind of a thing happens, then People's Party will be able to form government at the center. But be warned, People's Party also has a problem. It has two lists of candidates. One when it is in opposition or when it is in a tricky situation, and one list of candidates when it is in power. You know, Amin Fahim when in opposition, and you know, Gilani Saab when they are in power. So we don't know whether it is going to be Bilawal Bhutto Zardari or some last minute chance actually changes that, because there are clear efforts by the media pundits and even some voices from within party itself to infantilize Bilawal Bhutto Zardari. And that will be unfortunate, because I think that the guy is actually born for the job, and he is very competent.
Right, we have to move on to the next segment, but I want Zulfikar Sahab, your comments quickly on this, on what Farrukh was talking about with reference to the PPP and the possibility of their eventual formation of government.
I think once the election are going to held and People's Party is going to have a decent number of seats, there is no dispute and there is no second choice that anybody can take or replace the position of Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari.
Not even Zardari Saab?
Once the People's Party, all the Zardari Saab is not at all interested in becoming the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and he is very much willing that Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari should come and lead Pakistan. And Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari is a visionary, energetic, young, educated person,
Yes.
and he has all that capability and capacity to lead the nation and lead the country, and he will be a good person to lead, and he will be able to deliver as well in, and his performance is going to be remarkable because
All
I
right.
have been spending time and
Absolutely. I
spending
don't
time with
disagree
him,
with
and
you.
I am very certain about it that there is not going to be a second thought on his performance and delivery for the country. He will be the best person to have as the
Yeah.
Prime Minister of
All
Pakistan.
right. Thank you, Zulfikar. Yes.
Sana is a bit shararti also, a bit mischievous. She's asking, the spokesman of Bilawal Bhutto Zardari to comment on my comment. So that is a
But we're glad for the clarification.
If Bilawal Bhutto becomes the Prime Minister, what will be the fate of Nawaz Sharif then in the next politics?
He is larger than life, and he will still have an influence, a pull in the party
You see,
in the election. Yeah.
Yes, Zulfikar.
in Pakistan, you can't rule out the positions and the roles of the political leaders. And I think me and Nawaz Sharif Saab have already three times been the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and he has developed that kind of a flexibility to let Mr. Bilawal Bhutto Zardari be the Prime Minister.
Right, absolutely. He has his own space in
It all
politics.
depends
We're,
on the number
I
of seats.
just wanted
we're
to
going to have
slip
to,
in one
yes,
comment.
very quickly.
Very quickly. All I'm saying is not,
He will be
not
flexible.
wishful thinking, or it is not political analysis only. I usually have a data model through which I actually input all the data, and that's how I manage to predict elections results correctly. So far what I'm talking about is data is pointing in this direction. It can change. There are many days left between now and the elections.
Right, absolutely. We're going to have to move on to the next segment in which we're going to take a look at the issue regarding military courts. And it's important, especially in terms of the trial of civilians in military courts that is being discussed at length and is also part of what the Supreme Court has also been hearing. Naveed Sahab, I'll start with you in terms of what is being asked of the CJP in terms of formation of a full court bench and the kind of discussion that is there regarding whether or not this needs to be the case. And I want to understand, can this be something moving forward that we'll see, because formation of benches is a very serious issue and a sensitive one that is discussed at length, but we still haven't really seen on a lot of the cases in which this was demanded that actually did happen.
In fact, after May 9 incident, one thing is very important, that the attacks are committed against the installations, military installations, or the military was the in fact target. One thing is very important to keep in mind. Those who attacked, no matter they are the military people or the civilian people, definitely they are the civilian people who attacked the armed forces installations. So one who has attacked the armed forces installations should be tried in military courts. There's no harm in trying them in the military courts, because military courts are also the courts of Pakistan, and those who are opposing it are because they want to have that advantage which they can have from the civil courts, because they know that the civil courts are not they delay the election, the processes, and they favor those who have attacked, who belong to PTI, or who belong to the perpetrators or the culprits behind all this scene. They want to just get mileage from the civil courts. So I don't think the civil courts should have much to do with this decision, because the armed forces have decided many things against their own officers.
Right.
And now
but there are petitions that have been filed, so of course the Supreme Court has to hear
and they have the right to trial all those who have attacked the armed forces installations.
Right, but regarding the larger, the formation of a full court bench, Zulfikar Sahab, it's important, and we've seen previously also in a number of cases that this has been a demand that has been put forward, and yet something that we haven't really seen. And this is a very sensitive issue, of course, with reference to how the people responsible for May 9th are going to be tried under a military act and in military courts. And so when we talk about these petitions, they have also been delayed for an indefinite period, and so it seems that there is a lot of discussion whether or not the military courts trials will actually proceed forward or not, because the CJP has made this stance that he hopes that this action isn't taken until the matter is with the apex court, and if it's delayed for an indefinite period, how are we going to see it proceed forward, and how will the consequences be met?
Understand that the importance of this issue of the attacks on May 9th on the installations, military installation and the state institutions. Uh, the question which have been raised by the honorable lawyers who have been contesting for this case in the Supreme Court of Pakistan, I want to ask them the questions why they haven't tried this thing and filed a case back in 1997 when the first military court were, established, and the trial of the civilians started at that time. At that time, it was all political workers of the political party who were struggling for the restoration of democracy and raising voice and fighting for the fundamental rights. But right now, the people who have been tried, who have been asked, or who are going to be trial and under the military code. These all people are actually, they have not done terrorism. They have gone beyond the terrorism. If they have done any act of terrorism, they would have been tried under the ATC code, anti-terrorist code. But now they, as if they have done something beyond the terrorism, they have attacked on their own country, state institutions, and their own military infrastructures. The Army House, the Jinnah House, and GHQ, and the Mia Wali Air Base. So they all should be tried under the cause, under the Military Act 1952, because this is an act which was passed under the Constitution of Pakistan and have been a part and parcel of the Constitution and law. So if anything is going beyond and other than the Constitution and law, then we are going to raise voice. But if that is under the Constitution and under the law, then I think there shouldn't be a problem that these all people, they should set an example of these all people, so nobody in the future should even think of attacking on the state institutions and on the military infrastructures. Because if they are not going to set an example of these people, I think then after a few years, some of the vendetta, vagabonds from some political parties who were training their workers to be the terrorists, so they can attack on any state institutions, and this is a high time to set an example. So Supreme Court has actually not given a injection to this matter, and they have delayed the matter after the Eid, and they have given a clear stance, I think. But this one thing was very important which was missed. It would have been better and nicer that the Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan would have made a larger bench of all the full court bench, where they would have taken or the input of all the judges on this matter. So this matter would have been resolved for once and for all for the rest of the life. So nobody could have raised question on this.
Let's talk a little bit more about that. Farrukh, have a number of questions with reference to whether or not the CJP will actually move forward with a change in the formation of benches. Why, when we talk about the military courts, just yesterday we heard about the history of the military courts by a guest who is part of the show, and there seems to be no issue with regards to this trial moving forward. What exactly is the premise that the petitions are based on? And then moving forward, what sort of accountability will there be in terms of the military trials not proceeding forward until the matter is in the apex court? This seems to be the expectation or hope from the Supreme Court, but is that really something that will hinder the process?
Right, Sana. The second part is because, since it has more to do with the sub judice, merits of the issue, I will try not to talk about that.
Okay.
But I want to actually talk about bench politics and whether, as you said, whether the CJP is going to reconstitute, the bench, and he is going to go for a full bench, right? There's an Urdu, phrase, "Meri saadgi dekh, main kya chahta hu." Look at my innocence, what I want, right? My Right Honorable Chief Justice of Pakistan is a politician and not a good one. He keeps on playing politics on bench, right? And that actually shows this time also with the case that might actually define the future of generations. He has once again formed a bench where originally he went for 5 like-minded judges, including himself, and 4 judges from the other side. So the hope was that because the next Chief Justice of Pakistan is going to be included, and because he is actually a man of great principles and very clear on these issues, he is going to hoist himself at his own petard, and he is going to say something which will make Justice Bandial and his friends look good to the establishment of Pakistan. So this was the essential politics. If they take one position, the 5 like-minded judges will take another, and they will come out looking better. So look at the list of people who were included, right? The most senior puisne judge, the second in line after that, then Mansoor Ali Shah Sahab, and then Yahya Afridi Sahab, right? Now, all of them are very competent judges. Everybody knows that Mansoor Ali Shah's judgments can give all the, the 3 especially, the 3 musketeers of the Supreme Court of Pakistan run for their money. So, so the process of elimination has been quite interesting. The first 2 judges, the senior most actually, pointed out that this is essentially an original jurisdiction case, right, 184.3. And because of that, since there are 2 laws which are being suspended by the Supreme Court of Pakistan, and this actually clashes with every norm of the business, so they should first resolve that issue, and then this should actually be approached. And they recused themselves. Then Mansoor Ali Shah Sahab, there was an unfortunate relation issue with one of the petitioner, who is the former Chief Justice of Pakistan, and he is one of the mysteries of Pakistan's judicial system. But whatever it is, somebody is going to someday resolve those issues as well. Right. Justice Sahab also recused himself. Now, Yahya Afridi Sahab actually has pointed out something that I have been saying for ages. Please bring them all together, because it is about the future of your generations, your children.
Absolutely.
And absolutely, that doesn't seem to actually find any space. That politics will continue. The CJP will quietly go into the night, but before he goes there, he'll keep on playing politics the way he does. Incredible damage to the institution which is supposed to ensure our security and our rights.
Right. Thank you, Farrukh, and thank you very much, Naveed Sahab. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you, Zulfikar Ali Bader for joining us and being a part of the discussion. That's all that we have from the debate. We'll see you tomorrow.